The Ministry of Defence has found itself exposed by a calamity of its own making, a scandal that blends bureaucratic complacency, technological illiteracy, and an astonishing disregard for both human life and democratic scrutiny. The Public Accounts Committee has now delivered a verdict that is both devastating and entirely predictable. The MOD knew the risks, ignored the warnings, and allowed an operationally critical system to be built on an Excel spreadsheet that should never have hosted sensitive personal data in the first place. What unfolded in 2022 was not a single moment of misfortune, but the predictable outcome of years of cultural failure. And by the department's own admission, there had already been serious breaches in 2021 that had to be reported to the Information Commissioner. These should have triggered a root and branch review. Instead, thousands of Afghans, allies, fleeing Taliban reprisals continue to be tracked by sprawling spreadsheets, complete with hidden rows, uncontrolled access, and no safeguards against catastrophic human error. It was in this context that a soldier, believing he was sharing details of 150 applicants, inadvertently exposed nearly 19,000 names, people who had risked their lives for Britain. This alone would have been grave. What followed was worse. The breach was not detected for 18 months. Only when an Afghan recipient threatened to publish the data in August 2023 did the MOD realise what had happened. Then came the super injunction, an extraordinary government decision to suppress the scandal not for days or weeks but for almost 2 years. Parliament was kept in the dark. The National Audit Office was informed only through a single junior director, in a manner the PAC chair describes as emblematic of the MOD's chaotic internal culture. Even the Intelligence and Security Committee, the one body designed to handle sensitive material, was excluded. Meanwhile, the government quietly constructed an immense and secret relocation scheme. At one point, the projected cost reached £7 billion. The current working estimate of £850 million excludes legal action and compensation claims, and still, thousands of Afghans are stranded in danger, waiting for the British state to deliver the promises made to them in the heat of war. This is not a story of a single mistake, nor of an isolated official. It's about a department that ignored multiple warnings, clung to improvised systems, concealed a failure of vast moral consequence, and now cannot credibly assure Parliament that it has learned the lessons. Sir Geoffrey Clifton Brown's blunt conclusion that the committee lacks confidence in the MOD's ability to prevent such an incident happening again is as grave an indictment as Whitehall will ever receive. The Afghan allies whose names were spilled across Facebook groups deserved better than a country that asked them to stand with us against the Taliban. The British public deserved greater transparency than this mess, and Parliament deserved the right to scrutinise a crisis that was hidden behind legal screens. This sorry episode exposes something deeper, a department whose internal governance has drifted into dysfunction, and a culture that too readily tolerates makeshift solutions until they collapse under their own weight. The MOD now promises a dedicated, secure casework system. It promises cultural change. It promises lessons have been learned. But promises sit uneasily against the fact that it took almost 3 years, 2 governments, and a forced lifting of secrecy before accountability even began. That is a test of where the government departments entrusted with life and death decisions can reform before the next crisis reveals that that anything has happened. The conclusion we have to draw is that the MOD is not capable of reform on its own steam. It needs serious help, serious guidance, serious management. I don't normally talk about management, but the MOD is lacking it.